Haunted objects. My brother and I set out to find objects haunted by good entities and objects haunted by dangerous ones. Inspired by the infamous movie Annabelle. But first we wanted to find the non-dangerous ones, to which that path led us to Bill.
He was basically in his grandmother's attic. That's part of all I can tell you about her. And he called her the Huggy Doll. I'm like, why do you call her the Huggy Doll? She says, this doll, we had it on a shelf, and I wake up and this thing is in bed with me.
What's up, guys? Lore Brothers here. Today we're looking into haunted objects. What are haunted objects? And that's what we're here to find out. This video was inspired by the movie that just came out, and it's called Annabelle.
Who are you?
And we wanted to also investigate the other side. There's a lot of objects that are haunted that aren't dangerous.
Yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions, I think, with people anytime there's a haunted object involved. I think a lot of people think it only goes one way, when in reality, it's actually, there's two sides of, there's yin and there's yang. There's two sides of the story.
So we set out to find some objects that had some positive entities attached to them. And we came across an individual named Bill. And this individual was a part of a haunted house in Arizona. And we wanted to investigate his objects, and he allowed us, the first ever, to come in and film these objects and give us kind of a rough backstory of how these objects are haunted and the activity that goes along with them. Because there was some pretty significant stories behind these objects.
Yeah, it was amazing. It's the stories themselves and the history and how rich the history was incredible.
This is like my museum that I would go see.
You see my house?
Paranormal, supernatural, unexplained things don't just mean evil and negative things are happening. You could have a family member, passed away loved one, who is around you and is watching out for you. So it's easy to mistake them for negative entities because a lot of these unexplained activities can be scary in real time, but there are cases that have nothing to do with a malevolent entity. It could be something very positive. So we wanted to try to represent that side of it as best we could. And, this is what he had to say.
We have an item here that's actually a wheelchair. Her name is Marguerite. The young lady who was sitting, who spent her life in the chair, her name was Marguerite. So we refer to the chair as Marguerite. And Marguerite is kind of a playful energy. Growing up, this chair would actually move in the house slowly, but it would actually end up in one room or the other. And my parents were convinced that we were moving it, but we weren't. And then so we'd see it moving, and we thought it was funny. Being here now with my cast here, it's funny because they respect the items, and she likes to be engaged with and talked to. And we ask permission to touch her, and there have been times where during a tour, someone will say something, and the chair will move. Wow. But there's even better than this. This chair has the ability to open doors. This door, we've had a security guard when we first started here. He heard some noise at the side door, and when he opened the door, he was greeted with a chair with his doll in it, and the guy quit that night.
Man.
But she's playful. Yeah. So so if you talk to her and you say, hey Marguerite, like one time I was sleeping here, and she had entered this room from another room, and I said, I'm trying to get some rest, and I pushed her back, and I went to use the restroom. I came back, went back to bed, I came up, and she was here again, and I said, please, I really need to get some sleep. And I went to use the restroom, and when I came back, she moved herself back. Oh, wow. So and she's not very shy about it. She doesn't perform parlor tricks. It's nothing like that. But she's an item that I consider an alpha haunt, to where she is kind of like our little diva. And I personally don't think this possessed, cursed chair. Right. My belief is the young lady who's in the chair wasn't really a nice person in her life, and she has some kind of a lesson in humility to learn, and then she'll be released from. And she's never been harmful to any of us. So I grew up with this chair with limited history, but as a kid I actually saw a girl in the chair. Wow. Her name is Marguerite. Yeah.
If I can take away one thing from the time we got to spend with these entities and with these haunted objects and Bill, is that if you show these entities respect in certain conditions, it's almost like you can live together mutually. And it was really, really interesting to see that. He actually had them set out in kind of a hierarchy.
Yeah,
he called one an alpha haunt.
So when you say alpha haunt, what are you referring to when you say that?
When it's really kind of weird. When you have, my personal experience, this is my opinion, when you have an item that has a little more energy than others, they kind of want to be the most popular item. So we found, when we've collected certain items and we brought them for the haunt, we want to make sure there was a good energy, like you feel it in here.
Right.
We have a shaman, we have a priest, and we have a witch who make sure that. We have had situations where we brought items that may have not been the right choice, and she's responded in not a very good way because that self felt threatened by them, but she didn't like their energy, so we've removed the items. Wow. So we call her our alpha because in the room that she's in, she has the ability to move herself as well as other objects. And she's not shy about moving in front of people. It's not like we make her perform, and I don't set up cameras to catch her on film because I believe in her. I don't need the proof.
You don't need it, yeah.
And I've had people, we've stayed here, so my cast members, and we don't even panic. We just like, oh, okay, hey, Marguerite, so it's kind of, to me, she's enjoying that she has a family that engages with her, and we include her, and the other items, they're just kind of, they don't do as much as she does. She's like the most.
Do they ever react to negative people?
Yes, they do. Yes.
How? In what way?
We had a situation where we were doing a tour one night, and a lady was being kind of verbally aggressive and kind of trying to ruin the fun for the other people. She was like making rude remarks, and this one object does not like foul language, and she used the F word. And we keep, when we do the tours, we keep it 66 degrees in there because it chills people, and they're in the cold, dark, and quiet. And she all of a sudden started getting really, really warm, and the item came up behind her, tapped her on the ankles, and she literally started feeling faint, and she had to leave the room. And it wasn't an aggressive tap. It was like, excuse me, lady, you're in my house. That's why we have this jar here. This is for my cast, but it's also, I find myself telling our customers, this is a family-friendly, and these artifacts, some of these things are from an old world where people don't say certain things. So disrespecting something, you're asking for it. And for what I believe is that the item felt disrespected in her home by this woman, and she had no problem showing. We've had a couple times where we've been in another room where this object is playful and they'll tap us from behind just to say, and we just go, oh, Marguerite. So that's what's really fun. What makes us feel good is that she's pretty much engaged with almost everybody who works here now, and nobody freaks out, and it makes her like a child playing. It's a really cool thing.
You must have felt a little bit proud when she tapped her.
Oh, let's just say I was extremely laughing at like, yeah. And then of course,
go Marguerite.
We tell people straight off. When you come to our haunted experience, we do tours, and we say, we have haunted artifacts here. These are treasures, and we ask you respect them, and be open to the experience. I said, no, nothing. We tell them we don't have anything cursed, possessed, or from the occult in this room, but we do have some items that have some interesting stories and some of playful nature. You have to be open to the experience and understand that nothing will follow you home unless you try to steal an item and take it with you. And we tell them that. So we tell them straight up, and then I say, and when we get in here, I'll say we have a shaman and priest. You're okay. I would never put anybody in danger, and I don't dabble with those things at all.
In that area, you could definitely feel
the energy.
The energy. I mean, it was. I think you described it in a way that was just. It was awesome.
When we were there was only 4 of us in the room, but the way it felt as if you were in a room full of people, and it was amazing. It's you could feel it all around you. And at no time did I feel uneasy or felt like there was anything around that was negative. Bill, thank you so much for allowing us in your home. These items are absolutely incredible. Would you like to tell everybody where we're at, so if they're in the area, they can enjoy this home with you?
We're at Trellis Town. It's I guess one of the staples of Tucson. It's an old western town. It has a steakhouse called Pinnacle Peak Steakhouse. We have a haunted house here. It's designed for families of all different levels of scare. We do have a haunted house, but we also have the haunted artifacts here, and it's part of our haunted tour. And it's just a place where they feel comfortable, and we can have them engaging with people. So if you guys want to come check us out, please do. We're here Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all year round, and just $5 per person. That's it.
We will link all of that in the description below, so if you're curious, you can find his Facebook page. If there's a website,
yes, sir,
I will share that website as well. Feel free to check it out. So that was amazing. I am super happy. That was far more detailed than I actually expected it would be. It makes me hopeful that you guys will see this and realize that not all your objects come with a negative entity. He has a whole house full, and it felt great. The energy was amazing. It's something that you'd have to really be there to understand. So next time you're dealing with something that you think may be haunted, it may not be negative. After reviewing the objects that were haunted by positive entities, we wanted to segue into objects haunted by negative entities. Unfortunately, the individual we had lined up didn't work out, unfortunately. So we found it would be really cool to kind of look into the history of Annabelle. Annabelle, the infamous haunted doll. I want to give you a brief rundown of the story without divulging too much, as I don't want to spoil your cinematic experience if you haven't seen the movie yet. The original Annabelle doll was a Raggedy Ann doll that was given as a gift. However, this was no ordinary Raggedy Ann doll. Attached to the doll was a demon. Not possessed, but attached to it. The roommates that owned the doll experienced activity as small as the doll moving independently to full-blown attacks, driving the roommates to reach out for help. This would eventually lead to Ed and Lorraine Warren showing up and filling the girls in on what exactly was happening. Ed and Lorraine Warren ended up taking the doll, which they still have to this day. The doll is locked in a case with the ominous message saying, "Warning, positively do not open." Now, being that I do my best to remain as unbiased as possible, I feel it necessary to include that during my research, I found that Ed and Lorraine Warren have a somewhat jaded history of being questionable frauds. I hold no opinion on the matter, as I have never met them, nor was I around when these events were said to have taken place. However, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, and if these events did in fact take place, I'm happy to know that the doll is secure and not causing any more harm. Real or not, this situation is not an isolated incident. There's a healthy list of haunted objects out there with some terrifying stories attached to them, and I believe that there is most likely more attached to them than just stories. Thank you guys so much for watching this with us and investigating with us. This has been a pretty phenomenal experience. I love going out into the field and talking to people, that are doing the same things we're doing and interested in the same things we are. Yeah. If you guys have any further questions, please comment below. We would be happy to answer them for you, or message us on our Facebook page. We respond to every message. If you have any suggestions for upcoming videos, message us, let us know. We'd be interested in checking it out, seeing what you have to say.
Oh yeah, we just recently did an interview with Parasearch Radio out of the UK. They're a great radio program, and our hour with them was phenomenal. So go check that out. There's a link on our page already to go listen to that. A lot of really cool stuff was talked about, and she was great. So.
And if you're curious about Bill and the Ravenhurst Haunted House, we will leave the description so you can really know who he is. You can check him out, his website, his YouTube page, his Facebook page, and perhaps if you're in the area, visit them. Please follow us on our social media platforms. We have Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, also an Instagram. You can go on there and see kind of the behind the scene footage, and we share information across all platforms, and we'd love to connect with you. Thank you guys again for being here, and as always, if you look hard enough, it will find you.